everyone, I'm Della Fulcray, and this is my season finale review. Finally, right? What a great way to end the season! I was on the edge of my seat throughout the hour-long special. I was constantly surprised with twists that had me anticipating the turtles' next move, like the portal's force field or Donnie's special gun running out of battery. And don't even get me started on the suspense as Shredder and Splinter fought, or the feelings as the Technodrome sank beneath the waves, Leo nowhere in sight. As you might expect, I have lots to say, so bear with me. I always have something to complain about, so I'll just start with the bad and finish with the absolutely amazing. My biggest complaint involves the explanation concerning April's involvement with the Krang. Apparently, Earth was on Krang Prime's radar because, and I quote, April's mental energy is uniquely attuned to our universe. Ugly said, what now? I suppose it explains April's sensitivity, which is a plus, but it's not like it was ever important except, 1, to provide Splinter with a reason to train April in monkey brains, 2, when she found the Krang communication device in Operation Breakout, and 3, in the very last episode where the Krang attempt to harness that energy. What always seemed more important was her immunity to Krang chemicals, because we saw this revelation in the same episode where the Krang explained to Shredder that April is the missing link. Maybe the writers were trying to surprise us, but it would have helped if they didn't make that connection in Karai's Vendetta, and also it would have been more effective only if April's sensitivity was actually useful throughout the season. Also, I don't understand how the Krang were able to find out she has this ability. Was it in her DNA or something? Because it's only been since she sent her DNA to the Krang in Alien Agenda that they actually gave a damn about her specifically. And it's so frustrating that no one has tried to explain this in a way that's actually satisfying for me. I just don't buy this explanation whatsoever. Also related to the Krang, I expected to see their mutagen play a more significant role during the invasion because it actually connected, like the mutagen connected the turtles to the Krang in the first place. And its idiosyncrasies, motivated the aliens to kidnap scientists on our planet in the first place, and that's how the turtles met April. And then 3, its properties are still a mystery. The closest we got to mutagen during the finale was basically seeing these kidnapped test subjects that you'd assume the Krang wanted to use the mutagen on. I'm glad the second season will be focused on the mutagen and its properties, so hopefully we'll get more answers to that mystery, but again, it's just irritating that it wasn't mentioned during the finale, though it was a head-scratcher for a good part of the season. Thirdly, I feel like I should call out a logistics fail when it came to the brainwashing device. I thought it was activated before Kirby entered the lair, yet it started going into overdrive only when he was in close proximity to the communication device. What if he was too far away for it to work? And what if April never found that white ball in the first place? It seems to me the aliens put a lot of blind faith into April collecting it, though it was never actually clear that they wanted her to find it. But assuming they did, that means they wanted the turtles to come after them, which is actually kind of clever when you think about it, because that was basically them arranging the turtles' getaway so April would be alone, and therefore maybe easier to manipulate. Though, however, you'd kind of think maybe that the Krang would be more expectant of the turtles in TCRI and in the Technodrome and would be better prepared to deal with them. Or maybe I'm just thinking about this too deeply. Lastly, no Leatherhead. If General Treg makes an appearance, I have to wonder what Leatherhead is doing right now. And on his behalf, I am irritated with the turtles for not realizing that they forgot about Treg in the first place because they trusted Leatherhead's ability to take care of him. With the portal and the power cell being blown to pieces now, how is Leatherhead supposed to escape Dimension X? My only hope is that he already has, and that we'll see him with the Triceratons or the Fugitoid. Or maybe the Krang built another will build another portal and power cell that Leatherhead can hijack? Or maybe it's just most likely that Leatherhead is stowed somewhere on the Technodrome itself for experimentation. Actually, that seems more likely, that the Krang found him, captured him, and are now experimenting on him again. Poor guy. Now, I may be stubbornly holding on to an impossible hope of seeing him again, but seriously, come on, Leatherhead is one of my favorite characters, and if we don't see him again, I'm actually going to be a little pissed. Now, that's about it for my major complaints. Let's go on to the greater things of these episodes. If you listened to the Heroes in a Half-Cast podcast, you know I rarely watched the 1987 cartoon. Even then, I still thought the Technodrome, when I saw it, was pretty epic. It totally matched the Krang technology thus far, plus that anti-gravity thing was a new twist, and gave the Turtles a whole new way to fight. So if it's this cool to someone who's unfamiliar with the Technodrome to begin with, I'm thinking fans of the 1987 series must have rejoiced at this new reincarnation. But let me know how you felt about it if you were a fan of the 1987 show. Now, as you know, I love it when key players make substantial progress. And one example was Splinter. Throughout the season, he's grown to be a more attentive and supportive parent, and proof of that was in his short, yet very, very encouraging speech to his sons. I mean, damn! If someone turned that speech on me, I'd be all, saving the world? Piece of cake. And I admittedly was surprised by his words to Leo. Instead of encouraging him to persevere, he basically said, feel free to sacrifice anyone if you have to. I know it's been a season, but I'm still trying to get used to the whole victory over honor thing. It's taken some time. Besides all of that, he also made some progress when it came to his reluctance to leave the lair. He mentioned his reservations of risking his ninjutsu knowledge during missions, but I think he was actually hiding his reluctance to return to the surface that he has abandoned. Or maybe he felt like he'd fail his sons like he failed Tang Shen. Both? I'm not sure why he hasn't accompanied the Turtles thus far, but what matters more is that he pushed through his inhibitions to save April. Maybe we'll see him place more concern in his present family from here on out. And kudos to April for calling Splinter out on that. As much as she respects him, she definitely knows a foul when she sees one, no matter if it's from someone higher up. You go, girl. Unfortunately, that was about it when it came to character development from her, but she was pretty important to the Krang invasion plot, so I ain't even mad. Now I have to talk about the big news. Splinter has had to swallow the huge shock that Karai, the girl who broke Leo's heart, who abandoned his sons, who partnered up with them later on, and who now serves the Shredder and hates all of their guts, is his beloved Miwa. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was deeply touched by Splinter's memories of his family. I couldn't help but think that Karai was so adorable, and that Yoshi and Tang Shen would have been wonderful parents. No doubt Miwa would have been a little rambunctious as a teen, judging by her personality now, but she would have been so loyal to her parents. It just broke my heart when I thought of the family they could have been. I just wanted someone to appear out of nowhere and pull out this sound recorder and reveal the truth to Karai the moment she started swinging at Splinter, just to alleviate his agony. My inner optimist has little doubt that Karai will learn the truth in due time, but I don't feel like the Turtles or April would exactly welcome her with open arms. Not to mention that Karai is a little twisted and far from a goody-good. Transitioning to the good side won't be easy for her. Now moving on to the epic showdown between Shredder and Splinter, which was well worth the wait. It was psychologically intense, in no small part due to the Karai Miwa revelation. Also, though, Shredder has shown me that he has this rather crazy fetish for fire, seeing as he used it in their fight, in my opinion, to take Splinter back to the night where he destroyed everything just so he could drop the worst news of all on Splinter's head. I mean, wow, this guy, Shredder, is a nutcase. He's just so fixed on destroying Splinter. Not just destroying Splinter, but taking away all of his hopes, all of his dreams. I'm just kind of like stepping back and kind of putting my hands in the air because I don't know what to do with Shredder. I'm starting to admire his villainy once again. But on back to the fight, it was also a battle of skills. What was most important about that fight was that Splinter won the duel when he embraced his rat nature. And those very mutations that Splinter cursed at and Shredder mocked ended up giving Splinter that edge that Shredder does not possess. A blessing in the guise of a curse, you could say. Now, thanks to the villains of the past, I always figured a villain's villainy was the only flaw in their character. In other words, we hate villains because they're evil, but it's that very evilness that strengthens their abilities as villains. So to make a villain whose own focus and desire for revenge are his actual undoing is a little bit of a feat. Yes, I'm talking about Shredder and his short-sightedness. In his quest to right perceived wrongs, he essentially gave the Krang the key to Earth, and didn't even care that he brought doom to his own planet. If that's not short-sighted, I really don't know what is. Now, I will always appreciate his slyness, and even if I can't take it, I love the depth he can bring to the show with his really low moves, like kidnapping Miwa. But that closed mind of his really does get in the way of his potential. Now, on to the Turtles. There was no better way to see their places on the team than with the good old planning montage. The animators don't make montages often, but when they do, they're really cool. Now, in this montage, we see Leo doing all the planning like a competent leader. And there's Donnie advising Leo and adjusting an invention, exactly what you'd expect from the tech boss. Raph suiting up and saying goodbye like the passionate soldier he is. And then there was Splinter meditating and remaining calm in the storm, which actually kind of made me think he was coming along. Then there was Mikey eating pizza, like the wild one. I mean, sure, he pulled a blanket off Metalhead, but really, as the heart of the team, you'd expect that he'd try helping here or there. Try boosting team morale even more. But that's the only disappointing thing I felt about that entire scene anyway. Everything else was really epic. Now, I already mentioned Donnie's usefulness in the montage, but that really does not cover his epicness in episode 25. Donnie, throughout all the reincarnations, is the only turtle in history to laugh at gravity and evolution with his wings. Who else can say that? Now, any biologist could tell you that turtles are pretty much doomed to roam land and water forever because their shells prevent any evolution for wings, which is why we probably all face-palmed when Mikey yelled, "Turtles were born to fly!" Well, to stay on point, Donnie got mad respect from me for those inventions. Plus, I'm jealous. I totally want one. But then again, who doesn't? Now, moving on to Raph, who has shown major progress in terms of letting his inner softy out. In the season finale, we saw at least 3 instances where he inadvertently demonstrated that, petting Spike goodbye, calling out wordly to Spike, and petting that random pigeon. He's seriously becoming more and more of a sweetie. Though he has his twisted moments, like when he tried to stick that brainwashing device into Mikey, and he'll always be the resident tough guy taking on the 8-1 odds. And I don't think we'd actually have it any other way, especially now that he's realized he's been a little hard on his brothers, but maybe just for now it's only Leo that he's focusing on. Maybe he'll be a little nicer to Donnie, or nicer to Mikey. Nicer to all of them, really. But maybe that's just wishful thinking. We'll see. Speaking of Leo, that turtle made leaps and bounds in these last couple of episodes. He's come a ways throughout the show. I felt a little nostalgic when he cheesily said, "Gentlemen," insert dramatic pause, "let's save the world." Reminded me so much of, "Gentlemen, I have a bold and daring plan," in the first episode. I love full circles, including the end of Space Heroes. In episodes 25 and 26, Space Heroes not only foreshadowed Leo's constant sacrifices, but also the constant last-ditch efforts to succeed before said sacrifices. With Captain Ryan's scandalous plan that just might but didn't work. Way to go, writers! And I wasn't being sarcastic, I actually am applauding them. I thought that was clever. Anyway, part of me believes the show will come back because we didn't actually see Captain Ryan's ship blow up. But assuming that final episode really does mean last episode ever, I think this might mean Leo will have to rely on his own intuition instead of Captain Ryan's lead. Because, seriously, he's not going to go into situations he hasn't seen Captain Ryan face. So he's just going to have to go with his gut sometimes. And most importantly, we've actually seen Leo step up as a brother, especially when he saved Mikey from Krang Prime. And at no point in these couple of episodes did I see him think of glory or of what heroes are supposed to do. He did what needed to be done, taking the risks when push came to shove. It didn't seem like he cared one way or the other what Captain Ryan did. And in those moments, it seemed that he just focused on his brothers and the fact that he had to protect them. And that it wasn't fair to push the burden of sacrifice to them when he was the one making the choices. So maybe he did learn something from the Pulverizer returns after all. He's at least finally starting to realize that leading it's not glorious. It's about putting the team ahead of oneself. But let's see if he actually retains this lesson, or whether he forgets. Now, just a quick word, Krang Prime is disgusting. Those lip flaps and the long pointed teeth, I did not envy April, strapped down with that face looming over her. Oh, I'm so glad the turtles won, but that thing is stuck in our dimension now. That's just peachy. Okay, I'm really glad we had a scene showing the turtles celebrating via dance party. Seeing the turtles kick it loose without a care in the world was indeed a rare and welcome sight. Mikey, in my opinion, had all the best moves. That had to be the funkiest robot I have ever seen. But, to be fair, everyone showed their stuff. I have to admit, Leo does a better running man than most of my friends. And let's not forget about April. Wow, just wow. I could not copy her if I tried. So, for the question of the day, I have to know, whose moves did you like the most? You know what to do. Thanks everyone for listening. I look forward to talking to you guys about Season 2. Who's excited? I'm excited. See you guys again.